Good morning and welcome to today's Board of Commissioners meeting this April 12th, 2022. Today we have Pastor Byron Wells with the Chestnut Ridge Christian Church who will provide our invocation, which will be followed by the pledge brought by firefighter James Cooksey, who has been with Cobb County Fire since April 2018. For those of you willing and able, please stand for our invocation and pledge.
May we pray? Gracious God, we pray that you will bless all the world religions that are in their most sacred time of year, that we might be drawn closer to you. We pray a blessing upon all our commissioners today, that they might have your wisdom, that they might work for the good of our community, our county, and our world. And we pray another blessing upon all the residents of Cobb County, that we might continue to progress in your light, that we might continue to become more unified in purpose, that we might receive the freedom, the success, and the blessings that you share with all. Be with us now, we pray, O blessed God. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Wells and Firefighter Cooksey. With that, our meeting is officially called to order. We have a number of presentations that are before us today, and our first one will be brought by Commissioner Burrell.
Good morning, everyone. If I could have the Ringlands and the Schwinkers and Morgan's mom come up for a presentation for National Autism Awareness Month. And also, I understand Glenda is here, our therapy dog at Safe Path, and we'd love to have her come up with the kids too. She is beautiful. Well, good morning. Before I read the proclamation, I want to tell you a little story about this group here. Sam and Ben are old friends. They are seniors at Sprayberry High School. But when they were in kindergarten in Miss Ringland's class at Kincaid? Oh, I'm sorry, Blackwell Elementary. I did a Read Across America Day at Blackwell, and they were in kindergarten. So that's how far back we go with these families. And Jaden is Miss Ringland and Jimmy's son here. And so we're celebrating and recognizing autism. And I would like to also introduce Glenda and Safe Path, Tiffany. Oh, and this lady I haven't known very long, but her daughter, Morgan, is the recipient of a therapy dog, service dog, from Northeast Cobb Business Association, which I've been a charter member since it started. And her daughter is at Mountain View Elementary. So this is Erin. So I'm going to read the proclamation, and then if y'all would like to say a few words about your challenges or anything, we would love to hear from you. Whereas National Autism Awareness Month raises awareness for autism during April. Autism is a complex brain disorder that often inhibits a person's ability to communicate, respond to surroundings, and form relationships with others. And whereas this awareness campaign began in 1972 as National Autistic Children's Week, as an avenue to increase awareness, advocate awareness, and spark change in schools, communities, medical facilities, and businesses. And whereas activities increase knowledge of autism and impart information about the importance of early diagnosis and early intervention. It also celebrates the unique talents and skills of persons with autism around the nation. Now, therefore, we, the Cobb County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim April as National Autism Awareness Month in Cobb County. Citizens are encouraged to observe Autism Awareness Month by hosting an event, attending an event, speaking out, sharing on social media, and supporting research for treatment and therapies that will improve the lives of those with autism. Thank you to the teachers, the friends, family members for their unwavering commitment to meeting the needs of those with autism. This is the 12th day of April, 2022. Okay, who wants to speak first?
Thanks for having us here today, and we appreciate the support of the community, the teachers, the churches. The Northeast Cobb Business Association, as of late, has, in the last several years, had provided service animals for several children in the community. And just my favorite people in the world are Jaden and Ben and Sam and Morgan, who I'm getting to know. Yep, Miss Morgan. So thank you. Anybody else want to say a word? Mike? No?
You did a great job.
Okay.
You want to say anything?
Well, we've got to get a picture, too.
She's friendly if you want yours. Sam,
Yeah, we got to crunch in.
yeah, okay, crunch.
Okay, you ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Do you have a dog yet?
Thank you. Next up, we'll have District 4.
Good morning. Lifelink Proclamation. Do we have any representatives here? Good morning, Mary. How are you?
Just fine.
Good. In 2021, more than 41,000 organ transplants brought renewed life to patients thanks to LifeLink's organ donors. However, the need for new organ donations grows daily. According to LifeLink, more than 2.5 million life-saving transplants are performed each year. Yet, according to LifeLink's data, more than 17 people die each year while awaiting organ donations or transplants. More than 3.8 million people are donors in Georgia, a number that LifeLink is working to increase through donor education. We, the Cobb County Board of Commissioners, commend LifeLink of Georgia's goal and life-saving mission to recover organs and tissues and proclaim April 2022 as Donate Life Month, this 12th day of April 2022. And receiving the proclamation with us today is Mary Riordan. and she is a Cobb resident for over 50 years, and she's also the 2009 kidney transplant recipient.
Thank you, Commissioner. My name is Mary Barden, and 13 years ago, I had the good fortune of somebody donating a kidney to me. It has allowed me to have a long life. I'm 85 years old.
Wow.
And to see my grandchildren grow up, which has just been the most wonderful thing. I have 4 of them. So anyway, I encourage you, please, be an organ donor. There is no age limit to organ donation, or there are so many things that your body can help others with, not only solid organs, but tissue and many other things. So don't hesitate to become a donor. All you need to do is go on your computer and say donate life, and it will tell you everything you need to know. Also, when you go to renew your driver's license, that's the time to do it also. So thank you to the anonymous donor who gave me my life back. And I hope you'll be able to do the same for somebody else. Thank you.
All set? Here we go. 3, 2, 1, and done. Thank you.
Thank
Are
you.
there any other presentation? There's another, okay, I'll just wait.
Commissioners, bear with me as our presentations will be out of order this morning, as there's still some printing, and we will make sure that we will get those to everyone.
Okay, thank you for that. Unique Clay, is she here? There she is. It's good to see you yesterday.
Great, good morning.
Okay, so the Cobb County Board of Commissioners will issue a certificate of recognition to Unique Clay. The Cobb County Board of Commissioners salute you for your excellence in educating young adults for 25 years. As a community leader and owner of Unique's Early Development Center, you exemplify the value and importance of investing in high-quality, well-rounded learning. We applaud your commitment to promoting high-quality early childhood experiences for our young citizens and providing a foundation of learning for children in Cobb County. This, the 12th day of April 2022.
I do want to say a few words. I do want to say a few words. My husband should be coming, but maybe he won't come. He's parking. But I can't say enough without, I couldn't do this without my family. I have a family child care home. And if it wasn't for my family, my husband of 31 years, and the 4 children that we have, here he comes. Somebody let him come in.
Yes.
The man of the hour. He's given his life with Cobb County 25 years as Cobb Police and Fire. So if it wasn't for my family, we have 4 children that all graduated right here in Cobb County. Well, not all of them. This last one here is graduating from a Catholic school in Atlanta, but we've raised all of our children here, and I can talk about our children when I've taught so many over the years. And I'm so proud of my own children. And we have Jordan that is about to go off to college this year and has opportunities to get a dual degree program with Georgia Tech and Morehouse. And yes, and our next child up is flying in from Illinois. This weekend, I haven't seen him in so long, but he's a graduate and he has a master's in dance. And our next child up is CJ. He has a master's in psychology. He works here in Cobb County with our young adults in the school system. And then the next child up has a degree from UGA with a doctorate in agriculture. So I'm just so thrilled that I've been able to do this great work. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be here, so thank you so much, and thank you so much for our commissioners. Thank you.
Next up, we're going to recognize an effort with the county to become a green community here in the region. If we can have Kimberly White join us up front. Very good. Good to see you. So we are ecstatic in the county. We are the second county in the region to have obtained platinum status to become a green community in the Atlanta Regional Commission. And it would not have been done without the hard work of this team here to my left. And so I wanted to give you an opportunity to share with our audience this accomplishment. And so we can also continue to support the work to get us to stay at that level and to do more when it comes to sustainability.
Thank you, Chairwoman Cupid. Listen, I have had the awesome opportunity to be a part of a great team here in Cobb County. We worked really, really hard. We had a vision to get ourselves to platinum status. What this means is that we were able to accomplish the majority of 82 different measures that determine how sustainable we are in Cobb County. And I didn't do this by myself, actually. I had the support of a lot of people, especially all the commissioners behind us, and a lot of people in the audience. So actually, I'd like to bring up some other people. Please, if someone's here from property, water, DOT, fleet, all of you guys, please come on up here. Community development. And so many more of us, you know, have joined together. And I just want to say thank you to all of the people here on the team. I probably begged every single one of you individually for all the information that we needed, but we got there, and so proud, because it's really difficult to get to this status as a county because we're so large. And so as Chairwoman Cupid said, that we're only the second in the state to receive this honor, and we want to continue to do more to reach even higher, heights. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Congratulations to you as well. We'll swing down. Come on down this way, and then everyone can get up. And why don't you get in the middle with the award? Our next proclamation has been pulled as we don't have representation from the National Association of County Officials, but April is actually National County Government Month, where we like to recognize the accomplishment and the work that everyone does here in Cobb County government. So if you can take some time just to indulge me in recognizing all of our staff and our commissioners that help to do the great work of our county and keep us running every day, please. Thank you. All right, next up, I'd like to call up our leader and team with our E911 department. Certainly, anyone who wants to join us from the dais is able. We are fortunate to have an outstanding team of professionals that work in 911 here for the county, and they've been accomplishing great things. We've been award-winning and continue to do wonderfully in our ratings to make sure that we're responsive at a time where you need someone to respond the most. And with that, I wanted to take some time to recognize them as we celebrate National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. In 1967, the President's Commission on Law Enforcement and Administration of Justice recommended that a single number should be established nationwide for reporting emergency situations. 1 year later, 911 was established as our emergency code. The 911 system is the connection between the eyes and ears of the public and the emergency response in the United States, and is often the first to know of emergencies of all magnitudes, making 911 a significant homeland security asset. Whereas Cobb County considers the services of public safety telecommunicators to be vital to the interest of the community, the safety of our public safety officials, including our officers and firefighters, are dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who call Cobb County 911 Emergency Communication Center. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the first step and the most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services, and often provide a lifeline to the caller where seconds and minutes matter. The Cobb County 911 Center is proud to support their mission statement in their everyday duties. We strive to provide excellent and professional service to the citizens, visitors, and public safety responders of Cobb County. Now, therefore, we, the Cobb County Board of Commissioners, do hereby declare the week of April 10th through the 16th of 2022 to be National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in Cobb County, Georgia. We encourage all of our citizens to acknowledge and honor the men and women whose diligence and professionalism keep our county and citizens safe. This, the 12th day of April, 2022.
Commissioner, this means the world to us. Thank you so much. You asked me to say a few words, and I will just say that this county has a team of 911 gladiators working for it. The calls that we answer is we are the calm in the midst of your crisis. We are the lifeline to our emergency responders, and nobody does it better than Cobb County. And just for perspective reasons, I will give you just a few quick examples. Around Thanksgiving time last year, we received a call from a gentleman stating that his wife was in labor. We asked a few questions. It was determined that, sure enough, delivery was imminent. And so while a dispatcher was sending emergency units, our call taker proceeded to provide childbirth instructions delivering a healthy baby girl. In early January, thank you. In early January, another one of our gladiators received a call from an individual stating that a 13-year-old had just had a seizure. After a few questions, it was again determined that the patient was unconscious and not breathing. She immediately launched CPR instructions, provided the caller with instructions. They transported that individual, and the 13-year-old made a full recovery. So we are extremely proud of our team. Thank you.
Thank you, and I hope you hear this applause as you're taking these calls. We thank you, and what you do is heroic, so I love that term, gladiators.
All right, gladiators, get in. Down and back. All right, here we go. 3,
right, next up, we have a proclamation brought by our county manager.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairwoman, Board of Commissioners, and all of you who took time out of your day to be here. Before I bring senior services up, or as you all would make your way up, I would just like to say thank you to all of our gladiators as well, and all of the employees of Cobb County who work hard every single day to make sure that we are responsive to the citizens and our visitors of Cobb. Come on down, Cobb Senior Services. And I'm going to ask the board to come down too in a few moments when we finish the proclamation. I'd also like to give a shout out to the Art Place, who just serviced 30 years with the county. So I'll give a shout out to Cobb Parks and Cultural Affairs as well. So thank you guys for being here. All righty, I'll read the proclamation and then I will turn it over to Dr. Gibson and ask her to introduce a few folk who are here and say a few words. Here we go. So, whereas since 1972, Cobb County has been dedicated to creating a lifelong community where individuals can live, work, play, and age successfully, enhancing the quality of life for millions of Cobb County residents who are 55 years of age and older. Whereas Cobb County's 55 and older population is projected to reach approximately 288,000 people by the year of 2030, making this age group the fastest growing constituency in Cobb County. And whereas Cobb Senior Services is completely committed to finding innovative ways to address the needs of older adults by offering programs and services, researching and proposing various livable initiatives, providing transportation, vouchers, volunteer opportunities, and health and wellness programming. And whereas the goals for the future of this group of wonderful people are to increase the quality of life for older adults, to improve transportation options, to increase opportunities for health improvement, to reduce mental, physical, and financial burden to family members and caregivers, and to empower older adults, people with disabilities, and caregivers with the information needed to make informed decisions and to age in place. Therefore, we, the Cobb County Board of Commissioners, do hereby honor Cobb Senior Services, its staff and volunteers for over 50 years of service excellence. We wish you continued success and continue to serve Cobb County and this wonderful community. This 12th day of April, 2022. Let's thank them for all that they do and provide here in Cobb. Thank you. Dr. Gibson?
Thank you, Dr. McMorris. Thank you to the board. We'll be brief. What I want to say is thank you for the support from the county. Without the support from the county, the 50 years would not have reached 50 years. So in my briefness, I want to introduce the people that are here. So if you work for Senior Services, raise your hand. So now you know who they are. They work for Senior Services. But thank you. These are our managers. Tireless efforts and time are put into many of our programs. And what we do is we listen to our seniors. And if we don't, they get us. So we know we have to listen to them. But thank you all for coming out to help us celebrate with this. And I have two people that are going to say something. Previous Director of Senior Services, Ms. Pam Riordan, and then I will also let our Deputy Director share some activities that will be happening in Cobb County to continue to celebrate our 50th anniversary throughout the rest of the year. So a few brief moments here. Brief moment.
Hi, I'm Pam Riordan, and I was director for, I don't remember how many years, but anyway, but I've been retired for a lot of years, and I don't know how many that is either. But now I'm eligible for all the services that these folks provide. Actually, I've been eligible for a long time. But so you got me out of bed early today, and it's an honor to be here, and it's an honor to work with the senior public. It's just really, it's a just the neatest thing in the world. You just have to help out. Yeah, volunteer. And then you'll find out how great it is. Thank you.
Thank you. And one person, I asked him to come up, but he's not being cooperative this morning. If he will stand, ex-director Willie Tanks, he was the Public Service Agency Director. Thank you. I'll get you later for that. And this is our Deputy Director, Sandy Panici. She will share some of the activities briefly about what we will do throughout the rest of the year to celebrate senior services.
Thank you, Dr. Gibson. We have a wide array of programs planned, from block parties to ice cream socials to 1970s parties. Our nutrition unit is planning a big surprise. I'm sorry I can't announce that. I don't know what that is as yet. But our community health and education, so many programs, so many wonderful things that we have accomplished and that we continue to accomplish in serving the citizens of Cobb County. Thank you.
We have one matter before us for our next tab, which is our public hearing tab. Drew, I'll turn things over to you.
Good morning, Drew Essler, Cobb DOT. In accordance with state law, the board is required to conduct a public hearing prior to expending county funds of $100,000 or more to employ an independent consulting or consulting firm. In the implementation of the 2022 SPLOST Transportation Improvements Program, the department anticipates awarding engineering design contracts that could exceed $100,000 for various projects, including Bells Ferry Road over Noonday Creek Bridge, Collins Road over Little Allatoona Creek Bridge, James Road over Pine Creek Culvert, Old Stylesboro Road at County Line Road intersection, Due West Road at Antioch Road intersection, Cumberland Parkway from Paces Walk to Paces Ferry Road corridor improvements, East-West Connector corridor improvements, Ewing Road sidewalk, and Schaefer Road sidewalk. For the department recommends the Board of Commissioners conduct a public hearing prior to expending $100,000 or more for engineering design services for various projects in the 2022 SPLOST Transportation Improvements Program.
Thank you, Drew. For the public hearing, an unlimited number of speakers may come up and speak towards this matter only for a maximum of 3 minutes. With that, I'll go ahead and declare this public hearing open for anyone that would like to address the board again regarding this matter solely. Not seeing anyone, this public hearing is closed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Drew. That now takes us to public comment.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Just as a reminder, if y'all will, please silence or turn off your cell phones during the meeting. The ringing interrupts the flow of the meeting as well as it also interferes with the broadcast of the meeting as well. Just a friendly reminder of that. As the board provides the podium for public comment, it's appropriate to review the meeting rules. Please state your name, and if you're speaking on behalf of an organization, all comments should be addressed through the chair. Public comment is not a dialogue with the board, but an opportunity for speakers to provide their comments to the board. The comments should not be impertinent, derogatory, offensive, or slanderous. To that end, the board encourages, regardless of the topic, for the audience to be respectful and courteous to each speaker. Everyone attending this meeting should, should be give others the rights to both listen and to be heard while treating others with civility. Statements made during the public comment portion do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the board or the administration of Cobb County government. And just as a reminder, on the podium there is the 5-minute timer. With that being said, the first public speaker is Coach Barry.
Yes, sir.
Good morning,
Good
chair
morning.
members. Thank you so much for having me and having this open conversation, although it's not very open if you can't ask me questions. I'm the best swim coach in the world, and I've spent the last 30 years teaching thousands of people to swim. In this meeting today, we've talked about unique learning. Unique learning should be involved in Cobb pools. You have 6 indoor facilities, and the problem with your pools is your management team doesn't think their job is to keep them open. On the weekends, which is the busiest day of teaching swimming and the busiest day for people to come to your beautiful pools, which you've already spent millions and millions of dollars on building and maintaining. If Unique Learning can't take their students there and teach them to swim, then their students will grow up like those young men we saw earlier and get masters and doctorates, and then they won't be able to survive on 75% of the earth. Colleges like Harvard won't let you graduate unless you can pass a swim test. Same with Georgia State and Georgia Tech. It doesn't make sense to give these young people educations and then not be able to swim. You guys have some of the best water in Atlanta. But unfortunately you have, and I'm sorry, I don't want to disrespect anybody, but if you're a good old boy and your job is to run the best pools in Atlanta, and you think it's better to have the pools closed on the weekends and other days as well, this doesn't make sense. You spend all the money building the facilities, and then a bunch of old men who look like me don't have them open. They also don't have the management skills to get people to become lifeguards and swim instructors. Your pools are surrounded by amazing schools. It doesn't make sense that a Cobb County school doesn't take their students to learn how to swim in Cobb County pools. There are dozens of schools surrounding all your pools. The lady with Unique Learning, that's a private company. Private companies like her great company cannot take their students to your pools because she's in the business of making money, because Unique Learning can't continue teaching beautiful people, young people, unless they make the money that it takes to teach them. Earlier, I spoke about 911. You gave awards to the 911 people. Well, they talked about giving CPR directions over the phone. Your schools should absolutely be going to the pools. Everybody should learn CPR and first aid. It just saves lives, and it gives you a better understanding about how your body works and everybody else's body works. It doesn't make sense that a few people who run these pools, by the way, your pools aren't open because they don't have lifeguards. Well, management is supposed to produce lifeguards and swim instructors. You pay for the water, and then you heat it and you chlorinate it and you put it in these beautiful buildings, but then your management team thinks, you know what? We make the same amount of money if one person comes to our pool, and if 1 million people come to our pool and we teach all these beautiful Cobb County people and people who don't live in your county how to swim and a place to swim that's open, because this is the most you, the board, are the most diverse Cobb County board I have ever seen. And I moved here in the 70s, and it was not diverse. It was nothing but people who look like me. You have a management team that does not care about keeping your pool open. Half the team is about to skate into retirement and full benefits, I'm sure. I think that Cobb County could do a much better job of using your already built pools if you used a PPP, public-private partnership. Thank you. Sorry.
Coach Berry, I'm sorry,
Coach.
your time's up. The next speaker is
Thank you very
Leroy
much for
Imkin.
hearing me. I did not see the timer up here anyways, but thank you.
Here I am, kind of been living in Cobb County for over 20 years. I will address three important concerns of the board, to the Board of Commissioners. To begin with, it is important to understand the following quote from Article 1, Section 2 of the Georgia Constitution, which must serve as a good reminder of your duties as our elected officials. Quote, all government of right originates with the people, is founded upon their will only, and is instituted solely for the good of the whole. Public officers are the trustees and servants of the people and are at all times amenable to them, unquote. Now, our first concern of the three concerns I'd like to address. Recently, the board voted to spend so-called excess 2016 SPLOST funds, SPLOST, Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax, on items that were not on the original voter referendum for the 2016 SPLOST. Some of us reminded you that those actions do not follow Georgia law per Georgia Codes 48-8-110 to 123. Please refer to the ACCG, that's Association County Commissioners of Georgia, SPLOST guide for further details. Your decisions to go forward with those expenditures impact the county budget and general fund and eventually cause increased taxes. Since details were previously provided to you, I will not belabor those points here. We ask you to follow the law and not go forward with those proposals. Our second concern, regarding Agenda Item 31. We are asking you to respect the people of Cobb County who want to keep local control of our low-density, single-family, home, suburban neighborhoods. We're asking you to not sign agreements that relinquish local control to the federal government. Stop following the marching orders of the Georgia Department of Community Affairs and the Atlanta Regional Commission. We don't need Soviet-style regional dictates and Soviet-style apartment buildings. We don't accept dangerous HUD funding. Stop the war on the suburbs. Help us keep our freedoms and quality neighborhoods with a choice of where we, the citizens of Cobb County, want to live. In particular, Agenda Item 31 seeks to rank firms under consideration to rewrite our current zoning and land use codes, which will effectively replace them with the Unified Development Code, the UDC, like that used by the City of Atlanta and DeKalb County. This is not what the taxpaying citizens of Cobb County want to happen. We do not want to become a clone of the City of Atlanta nor of DeKalb County. Rather, we want to protect our low-density, single-family home neighborhoods and the character of our suburbs, which is among many reasons why so many people choose to live in Cobb County. In addition, large numbers of rentals will also be detrimental to our good schools. We ask that you vote no to Agenda Item 31 and do not go any further in spending our tax dollars on a consultant in an effort to make the drastic changes to our zoning regulations. We do not want Uniform Development Code zoning, which would allow multiple land uses within low-density communities. In other words, the UDC encourages high-density, potentially multi-story rental properties and would enable such to be placed right next door to our single-family homes. The UDC will change the character of our neighborhoods by encouraging mass transit, high-density living, and increasing crime. We ask you to vote no to any zoning change that is equivalent to or even similar to the UDC. Our third concern, regarding Agenda Item 40, we are asking you to vote no to any preparation in connection with a 2024 30-year transit tax. Such a tax will commit future generations to a tax on which they have no say. We believe that mass transit for Cobb County, which includes rail and bus services, is a highly inefficient and unnecessarily expensive. Most of our citizens want to go from their starting point to their ending destination without multiple transfers, without wasted time and inconveniences. Seniors, those with disabilities, low-income people, anyone who needs a ride to get to their destination don't want the delays, inconveniences, and dangers of mass transit. Further, it is well known that mass transit costs will be highly subsidized by our taxpayers. The fact is that is there are far less expensive, more convenient, and more efficient options available without tying Cobb taxpayers to antiquated transit approaches. We particularly do not want to be on the hook with MARTA and all of their debt. We ask that you vote no to the 30-year transit tax. In closing, as our elected officials...
Mr. Impkin, I'm sorry, your time is up.
Thank you.
Ms. Rosman?
Good morning, Chairwoman Cupid and Commissioners. For about the last 2 years, I've been coming up usually like twice a month to talk about spending, and I realize I have no impact. And I listen to other citizens, especially in the last year, like Monica Delancey, and talking about, hey, we're having a hard time having ends meet, need some help, and there's PPE money, and then that doesn't get dispersed. And then, so, I mean, there's all this money talk, and then once I saw over YouTube, watching your recent State of the County, it was interesting. And I know that Dr. McMorris said, hey, it's like a family reunion. And just looking to see who was in the audience, I didn't recognize any residents, but I did notice a lot of the lobbyists and developers and ARC and all the people that you're doing business with, spending our money with, was the majority of the people that were there. And having been in the restaurant business and catering and stuff, I looked and I was like, wow, it's a pretty nice white tablecloth gala event. And it was too bad that there weren't more citizens there that could have enjoyed hearing what you had to say. But I think some of the people that would be more like me wouldn't enjoy it, because when you look at what your trajectory, and I listened to your speech, Chairwoman, and your trajectory of what you want Cobb County to look for is nothing like the citizens want it to look like. And that really concerns me, because it's not, I mean, you all are very competent, but I don't think that you're listening to us. And there's that quote, your actions speak so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying. And I look at what our trajectory is, and it looks like it's in lockstep with what the ARC wants, what Metro Atlanta wants, what the lobbyists want, and not what we want. And that is extremely disturbing. We entrust you. You all take an oath to be good stewards of our monies, do things on the behalf of the county, and I'm starting to, I mean, I want to be the optimist, but I am losing some confidence every time I look at what the spending looks like, with the Brave Stadium. I know I bring up the Brave Stadium a lot, but that is a chunk of change. $150 million that the Cobb citizens are paying just to maintain it. And that's just now. That's not looking at inflation. That's not looking at what it's going to cost us years to come, which is probably going to be more than $150 million. And then look at the money that's spent on Deloitte and how much the consulting fees, the millions of dollars every year spent on consulting fees. And frankly, you have like good staff that if you ask them, hey, how can we do this? This is the budget, how can we do it? I bet they could come up with it, and you wouldn't have to spend $3 million with Deloitte having them tell you pretty much, what your staff did. I'm assuming that you vet and you hire good people that can make those kind of decisions, but I'm starting to wonder if that's really what's going on. So anyway, thank you for your time.
The next public speaker is Pam Riordan.
Good morning. I'm Pamela Riordan. Let me start out by saying I believe that God gives us our freedom and our liberty and gives us the values to live by. I believe that government is here to protect those rights and freedoms, not to take them away, not to suppress us. So I just want to start out by saying that. I also believe that I'm going to tackle this tough topic, so we're going to have to bear with me. I believe we are all one human race. We are not multiple races. We are not black, we are not brown, we are not white, we are not Asian, we're not whatever other color you want to label us. It offended me for the ARC to do that report at your gala event. It offended me to take people and put them in segments in different parts in Cobb County. I thought we wanted to be unified. I'm all about being unified, but that is not how we unify people. We don't do it that way. I have lived in East Cobb since '99. I moved away from Fulton County because of the taxes and the lack of facilities in North Fulton, because at the time, they had just finished a second Olympic junior pool in South Fulton. We were sitting at a Parks and Recreation meeting because I was the head of a swim team for a neighborhood. My kids were national swimmers, and I see the coach is still here. Thank you for your service. I lived that all the time, every single day. And I know how important swimming pools are. And I didn't even know he was going to be here and speak about this, but they wanted us in North Fulton to take all of the people, which would probably be hundreds of thousands of people, down to South Fulton for the semis and finals for the Summer League swim. Because I had lobbied with a lot of other people for more than 10 years to get a pool built in North Fulton. Didn't happen, okay? I decided right then and there, and then the second property tax increase, that I would sell my house and move to East Cobb. So I've lived here since '99. And I do not want you to urbanize my suburbs. I do not want to have a laundromat at the end of my block. I do not want to have apartment buildings for affordable housing in my suburbs. And if you adopt the 2040 plan with UDC, that's what it's going to take. That's what's going to happen. Because the developers are going to come in that way, and they're going to use federal money because it's all about the money. Follow the money. That's why I'm for the citihoods, to protect us against this zoning, this changing of the zoning that I can see happening. I'm in real estate, and even if I wasn't, I could see that 1 out of 5 purchases of residential housing now is bought by BlackRock and any investors in that conglomerate group. It's not single-family housing, and they're waiting, they're renting them out, and they're waiting so that they can convert that land and they can build the apartment buildings. So that is my concern. It's not racist for me to want that. I just have to make that very, very clear. And third speech that I know about intimated that that is racist because I don't want laundromats in my neighborhoods. Okay, I'm not racist. I grew up, my best friend was a black girl from Jamaica. Okay, my best friend. So we just want our suburbs. We do not want that, and I do not want the racist thing being mentioned again because we are not. We have multiple people with our values running who happen to be black and happen to be conservative for many, many, many positions in this coming up election. So I don't think that we should be painted in that corner. And like Leroy said, we do not want to look like downtown Atlanta or DeKalb County in our suburbs. I came from Canada, and my time is up.
Yes, it is.
I just thought it's fine. Thank you very much. Remember, we're one human race.
William Dickman.
Good morning. My name is William Dickman, or Bill Dickman. I've been a resident for some 35 years. Thank you for your work, commissioners. As you have heard this morning, as we've read in recent papers, there's a lot of discussion about future projects. I'd like to ask you folks to focus on things that the projects that we have already agreed to fund, that we learn are now underfunded. I noticed a recent article in the local paper about judgeships or the case backload. And I think the answer from the commission was, well, we only have a budget. You have to stand in line like everybody else, and we're governed by that. Well, let's refocus on the budget items in the organizations that you've already approved, that we voted on and established. Let's make sure they're as efficient as they need to be, instead of taking on newer projects that often it's not even clear what they're being spent on. For example, this idea of a mobile splost that made taxes for 30 years. The projects aren't even, they're generalized, they're not identified particularly. I would ask that let's be more efficient in what we know, what we have voted on. Let's make sure the pools, you know, you've heard some comments about how inefficient those wonderful assets are being used. That's unacceptable. That's where I would direct your attention, and certainly make me as a citizen feel more apt to even consider approving future projects. Thanks for your time again.
Edna Jackson.
Hello, everyone. My name is Edna Jackson. I am a Cobb County resident. And I just wanted to discuss some of the eviction things that have been going on. I'm a single mother with 5 children, and I never even thought that I was going to have to ever even come up here and speak and to discuss this. When you follow into this benefit cliff effect where your income goes up but all your assistance goes down, you lose everything, this is kind of scary, and I'm sure it's scary for a lot of individuals. I've contacted so many different resources that have been given to me, you know, Sweetwater Mission, Must Ministries, Surf Amelia, you name it, and I have yet to receive anything, let alone even a callback. I've even contacted the phone numbers, and it's like the number is disconnected. And that was, I couldn't believe that. Like, how is it this service number that, you know, is prominently for the whole Cobb County, how is it disconnected? So then when you do reach someone and they say, okay, I'll call you back this evening, and you don't hear nothing that evening for a week, 2 weeks, you know, it's going on 2 months and things of that nature. And it's like, with all the inflation, where is everyone gonna go? You know, being homeless, that's scary. You know, being evicted, I don't even know the whole process of everything, but when you receive a note like that And when you're trying, and when you feel like, you know, the resources, you don't have the resources. And I just want to know, like, you know, what is the next step? I know I look up, it says that they've received, you know, funding. When you speak to someone, it's like, oh, well, we don't have any funding left. But talking to other people that are not in Cobb County, it's like, oh, yeah, well, they have the funding. You're not a resident of, you know, Cherokee County or this county or that county. So just as a whole community, as far as being here in Cobb County, it just concerns me because I feel like a lot of us are not getting the resources or the help that we need to help individuals like myself, being a single mother, being a hardworking person. You know, my son actually just graduated. He's a police officer. My daughter is at Tennessee State University, and I'm doing all of this by myself, you know, and study kids coming out of school and things of that nature. COVID has affected my family extremely. Me having COVID, and then that was the first wave, and then just recently, my daughter had COVID. So when they say, like, you know, this hardship, you need to provide, you know, proof of this hardship, and you do all the things like that, but still no help. And like I said, that just concerns me, and thank you so much.
Chairwoman, that concludes the first portion of our public comment in today's meeting.
Thank you, Bill. With that, we are going to move to our consent agenda. Commissioners, we do have one item to add, which is to approve workers' compensation settlement for Sandra Cardos. I'll move that we add that to the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those, well, we'll go ahead and call the question. Our machines aren't working. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, the motion carries 5-0. Thank you. All right, we'll now go ahead and approve our consent agenda. All items on our consent agenda were scrolling on the screen prior to the meeting, and they will also be scrolling on the screen subsequent to today's meeting.
Chairman, I wanted to item 31.
Go ahead.
Okay, we'd like to take item 31 off of consent and into regular.
Okay, so we'll pull item 31 pertaining to the Unified Development Code for Cobb County off of consent, which will put that item to follow immediately after our consent agenda. With that, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as revised and authorize any appropriate staff to execute any necessary documents.
Second.
Is there any discussion? I'll call the question. The motion carries 5-0. We will now have item 31, and Jessica Gwynn from Community Development, please help walk us through this item.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. Jessica Gwynn, Cobb County Community Development Director.
Good morning.
As you'll recall, we have been working through the procurement process for the Unified Development Code for some time. We have put out the RFQ. We've advertised for that, advertised the public hearing, and conducted the public hearing. So what we're requesting today, now that we've received the responses for the RFQ, we have a recommended firm. We'd like to have authorization from the Board of Commissioners to enter into negotiations with that firm, at which point, once we've completed that process, we would bring it back to the Board of Commissioners for approval of the contract. I'm glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Director.
Thank you. I just have a couple of questions just to make sure that everyone's clear on the purpose of this, what's attempted to be accomplished. As I know, there's been a lot of public discourse on this, and what we're looking at, it's my understanding, it's to consolidate all of the different sources of where we have all of our code, our guidelines. It's making sure that we're consolidating that into a single point source so that it can be more efficient for staff to refer to, and eliminating some of the contradictions that exist within those.
Yes, Commissioner, that's exactly right. Currently, we have the zoning ordinance, which is, of course, part of Cobb County Code, as well as in that same Cobb County Code, there are subdivision regulations and what have you. Then we also, over and above that, have the development standards, which are a separate document from the code itself. And then we also have design guidelines, which some of the design guidelines are codified, some of them are not. With them not being codified, it's a little bit more difficult to enforce those. So this would give us the opportunity to bring all of those into one-stop shop for all things related to development. You know, with Ross Cavett, we did some good videos, and he established a website back right before the holidays, and so there's a good video on there about more about what we're looking to achieve here. But of course, all of this would be accomplished through an extensive public engagement process. It would give us an opportunity to update our codes to current practices and also in line with just the wishes of Cobb County, of our residents. And we would include that engagement, give everyone an opportunity to come out and participate, give the commissioners all an opportunity to participate. And this would take course over the process of several months, probably 18 months to 24 months, to really have a comprehensive, thorough process and ensure that we take all that feedback into consideration.
Excellent. And this does include, of course, collaboration with members of staff. The consultants aren't necessarily just dictating things. This is something that is driven at the direction of the community and staff.
Yes, absolutely. You know, we'll have a staff technical committee, advisory committee that will include all of the reviewing departments, my agency at community development, as well as DOT, water, fire marshal's office, stormwater, all of those different entities that review our development plans, and zoning right now would be a part of that process.
Thank you. And I know this is something that's been in the works with staff for quite some time. So thank you for answering those questions.
Welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Burrow, then Commissioner Sheffield.
Yes. First of all, I've been asking all along if staff could do this in-house, and was told no, that due to time constraints, what have you. Nobody knows our zoning and our land use better than our own zoning director and staff. And I still feel that it should be done in-house. Also, I know this went out to bid initially and was pulled and rebid, and there were some language changes or scope of work changes that we've never seen. And typically we don't get into the bid process, but on something of this magnitude with a lot of constituents and public commenting, you know, I would have liked to have seen what we were proposing or what the scope of the work that we were bidding out to be. So I don't support going out or awarding this contract. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Sheffield.
Jessica, if you would just elaborate a little more on the community's participation, because I think there's this thought or this feeling that once this is reviewed, it's going to go through staff and then commissioners, and then here's the new code. So if you can just talk a little bit more about the community participation.
Right, and that's a great question. You know, with any planning activity, whether it's our comprehensive plan update, which is currently ongoing, we're getting to start our second round of public meetings for that, or whether it's a code update like this one, it's important that we have input from the residents and businesses who are living and working in Cobb County each day. And one of the things that will be integral to the scope of work for the consultant, and this consultant team that's being proposed has a public engagement consultant as part of that would be involved, is to ensure that we do provide ample opportunity for our residents and businesses to participate in the process from the very outset all the way to the finish line. So it's not one and done, it's throughout the process. We'll have a great website available, as well as the number of public meetings. I think it's also very important that we provide opportunities for people to participate outside of a public meeting setting. Some people may not be able to attend meetings. Some people may not feel comfortable sharing some of their ideas in a public setting like that. So we want to be sure that we provide multiple avenues for engagement of the public. It's not something that's just staff. And Commissioner Burrow, your point about staff and our staff being the experts on Cobb County zoning is well taken, and I agree with you. And that's where, again, it's going to be really important that this process is also driven by staff working with the consultants through, to get the input from staff as the experts on our zoning and the history here, as well as the expert experience of our residents and businesses who have been living and working here every day for years to ensure that we get a great product at the finish line, something that's going to reflect the goals and reflect where we're trying to head here in Cobb County.
Thank you. Commissioner, let me see if Commissioner Campbell's.
Yeah, she answered my second question just now. Thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you. Not necessarily questions, but more comments. As far as to contradictions, the only time we have contradictions to the code is when we have stipulation letters and variances that are put forth by the developers. And it's when this board accepts those variances that it causes contradictions, which causes problems to staff in determining how to do things. So to update the current code to adjust for these contradictions, we're creating that every time we approve a zoning that is against the existing code. And as far as the design guidelines, those design guidelines have been approved by the board. It might not be this board, but all of those design guidelines have been approved by previous boards, which then become policy. They're then included in our motions. They're also included in staff comments. So to say that we need to do this because our design policies are not codified, when we make the motion and we approve that, it becomes part of the motion, it becomes part of the record, which means it becomes applicable. But we also get ourselves into trouble when the design standards call for 4-foot sidewalks and we approve 5. Yet when our developers go out and inspect the sidewalks, the design standards say 4 feet, yet the stipulations say 5. So again, we have put the expectations to the community that we're going to build 5-foot sidewalks, but our inspectors say, well, a 4-foot sidewalk's good because that's what it is. So, okay, ADA. But again, no, I appreciate the input, but again, yes, we're going to be doing this. It's going to take a long time to do this, but if we are not going to follow the existing code, what is the guarantee we're going to follow the UDC code?
I'd be glad to speak to that, Commissioner, and I thank you for your points, and I think you bring up some great points, as you and I have discussed before. You're right. We do have often with our zonings that are approved 5 or 6 pages of stipulations that are attached. I think that a lot of times it's even the same stipulations, almost templates of this is what we want every time we see a zoning. So this gives us an opportunity to make sure that the code says what we really want it to say. If Cobb County wants 5-foot sidewalks, this is our chance to update the code and say Cobb County expects 5-foot sidewalks. I think that if we can include these things in the code, include the design guidelines or whatever architectural standards may be desired, any of those things within the code itself, it saves this board and future boards who, commissioners obviously change. I think it gives the public as well as the development community an expectation of what the standards are rather than relying on stipulations. And again, from a staff standpoint, you're right. Sometimes it gets missed. And I think by bringing this all into one document, it gives us an opportunity to eliminate some of that human error that frankly does occur from time to time.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
So I know you said, in the stipulators, sometimes we reiterate things, and one of the things that reiterate is the noise ordinance. But the comment I've been told is, well, if we don't put it in the stipulation letter, we can't enforce it. That doesn't make sense to me, because if it's in the code, we should not have to put it in a stipulation letter to have it enforced. Right. So again, how is this going to change, or is this, again, an organizational change that we're going to have a shift in, as far as, we don't have to pick and choose what pieces that we include in stip letters, because oftentimes developers say, well, I'll do this stormwater thing and this DOT thing, and they'll put it into the STIP letter and say, well, since it wasn't in the STIP letter, even though staff had said it, we're not going to do it. So again, how is the UDC going to prevent those things from happening? Because if these are design standards, they should be done whether the developer picks and chooses to do them or not. And why do we need a STIP letter to do it? And then if it's a noise ordinance, why won't code enforcement enforce it unless it's in the STIP letter? So there's a big conflict here, which, yes, many of these things don't have to do with the UDC, but the UDC is the basis for it.
Right, and again, Commissioner, those are great comments, and I'd be glad to speak to those. With regard to the noise ordinance, as you know, and the noise ordinance came before the Board of Commissioners earlier this year, and staff stepped back and said, you know, we want to take a deeper dive into this and be sure that it's something that really is enforceable. Noise and measuring noise is challenging. Those after-hours construction, whenever there's after-hours construction, the police department is typically the ones who enforce the noise ordinance. Code enforcement, by putting it in the stipulation letter, that gives code enforcement currently the authority on those where it's specified the construction hours that we are able to enforce those, because it's a zoning stipulation and not just something that's in the noise ordinance. Again, that's something that we can also look at incorporating into the UDC, ensuring that there are some clear standards within the development regulations pertaining to construction hours and when that can take place, because that is important to the quality of life of our residents. But again, the stipulation letters, if we take this opportunity, if we all commit as staff, as commissioners, as a community, to ensuring that we put the work into this to make sure the standards that Cobb County desires and expects are clearly laid out in the code, we won't need the stipulation letters. Not everything comes through zoning. If something doesn't come through zoning, it's already been zoned, 30, 40 years ago, the stipulation letters aren't there. So with the UDC, those properties would be expected to meet the standards of the county code, whatever is spelled out. Right now, they meet our current code. We'd be able to spell out, even for something that was perhaps zoned 40 years ago, these are the expectations for development in Cobb County.
Commissioner Richardson.
Thank you. Certainly, there have been a lot of questions around low density, single families, local control, and all of those things being impacted as a result of us having a consolidated source of truth. Have there been articulated, is there anything within our scope of work that specifically targets, attacks those particular types of setups, whether it be single-family zoning? From my understanding, it is our comp plan that really focuses on what our future land use is and how we're looking at future development, not the UDC.
That's correct, and I want to back up just a minute in answering your question to some of the points that Commissioner Burrell brought up regarding the RFQ that went out. Whenever the updated RFQ went out, it wasn't changed substantially. There was some language added in there with regard to disadvantaged business enterprise participation that purchasing, I believe, is going to be adding moving forward to the county's procurement. We also received some great feedback from a Cobb County resident about, ensuring that we include protection of our suburbs and our existing neighborhoods. So we included in there, along with rural and historical resources, all these things, that we also want to be sure that we preserve and protect the existing neighborhoods in Cobb County, because that's such an important fabric of Cobb. So right now, and I'm sorry, I don't intend for this to be a full planning and zoning 101 session, but I think these are all important questions. But right now, with the comprehensive plan update, the comprehensive plan is the policy document, the 20-year policy guide for how development will take place in Cobb County, for how our land will be used, projecting out what our population is going to look like in that 20-year planning period, what will the housing needs be, what types of jobs will be needed, all of those things, and being said that way, you all as a Board of Commissioners, along with the county staff, can be sure that we are preparing for those things in our budgeting and all the different things, all the different activities that take place. The development code or the zoning ordinance, any of those tools, those regulatory tools, are ultimately implementation tools for the plan. The plan dictates where does low density residential go. It dictates where medium density residential go. Where does industrial go, all those land uses, that's included in the comprehensive plan. And when zoning requests come to you all, we include in there, how is it consistent with the comprehensive plan? Or is it not consistent with the comprehensive plan? And I know that's something that the Board of Commissioners takes very seriously in considering whether or not to approve zoning requests. And I appreciate that because that is an important document, the comprehensive plan, that reflects the values and the desires of our Cobb County residents. So the zoning ordinance, whether it's our current zoning ordinance or a unified development code, a new code, does not dictate where density goes. It does not dictate where different types of land uses go. In fact, with regard to single family, a lot of our neighborhoods, you know, the R20 districts, all those things, I really don't expect that we'll have substantial changes to even the standards for those, whether it's setbacks or lot sizes or anything, unless there is, you know, a lot of public sentiment that there would like to be some changes there, but I don't expect that'll be the case. So really the code is the implementation tool. The plan is the policy guide.
Thank you. Commissioner Sheffield.
For Jessica. Regarding the RFQ and the scope of work, so agenda item number 31 is essentially to approve the vendor. But with respect to the contract and the scope of work, that would still come before the Board of Commissioners.
That's
Is that
absolutely
correct?
correct,
So
yes.
we'll have an opportunity at that point to consult with staff or even with one another to either take things out of the contract or just include things that we would like to see. So this isn't approving their scope of work.
Yes, ma'am, that's right.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Any other questions or discussion of the board? Director, I just want to address some things that did come up with respect to the UDC so we can provide some clarification. Is the UDC connected to HUD?
No, ma'am.
Is the UDC connected to CDBG?
No.
Is the UDC connected to the Atlanta Regional Commission?
No.
Okay. Does the UDC provide that housing has to go in any particular location?
No.
Where is the UDC in the Metro Atlanta region? I've heard discussion that it's in Atlanta and in DeKalb. Are there any UDCs applied in any other area of the region or state?
Yes, a number of our neighboring jurisdictions, including our neighboring jurisdiction to the west, Paulding County, as well as Forsyth County, which is toward the north and significantly lower density than here in Cobb, have moved to a unified development code. Henry County, I believe, has one. I think a couple of our cities, I can't rattle them off the top of my head right now, but even some cities here in Cobb have a unified development code. It's not a certain type of zoning, it's just a consolidation of all of development standards, zoning and development standards into one document. That's why it's called a unified development code, because it's a unification of all of the development standards and codes.
Thank you for clarifying that. Commissioners, do you have any other questions? Yes, Commissioner.
I'm trying to find the RFQ, but you stated that the Atlanta Region Commission was not included, but in the RFQ, it was called out in one of the line items that we would be working with the Atlanta Regional Commission and also the DCA. So I'm confused as to your answer of no to that question.
Okay, so let me clarify. A UDC is not something that is a project of the Atlanta Regional Commission or the Department of Community Affairs, but the Atlanta Regional Commission, as our regional commission for all things planning in the Atlanta region, and the Department of Community Affairs as the state entity that oversees and provides all of the standards, all the requirements, zoning procedures, all of those things for the state of Georgia, all of those state laws and regulations. Those are two entities that on all planning exercises, even with the comprehensive plan, those entities would have an opportunity to take a look at, as well as our neighbors. This is a little bit different from the comprehensive plan in that the comprehensive plan has to actually be approved by the Atlanta Regional Commission and the Department of Community Affairs before it can be approved by the County Board of Commissioners, before it can be adopted. They do not have approval authority over our codes. They are simply there as a resource and entities that also can bring some perspective to state law that would be pertinent in adopting our codes.
Thank you, Jessica. With that, typically we have discussion and comments that follow our motion in a second. We did have some latitude here, but we have had extensive discussion amongst our board. So I'm going to move that we approve the agenda item as presented.
Second.
Is there any additional discussion? I'll call the question. Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, we will move to the BOC.
Chair, would you mind in just announcing the vote for that?
Thank you. The motion carried 5-0. Thank you. Sorry. I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm on pilot mode. The motion carried 3-2 with Commissioners Burrell and Gamble in opposition. With that, we will move to our BOC regular tab. And just give me a couple of minutes. All right, we are now moving to the regular tab. The first one is from the BOC chair. We have decided we will pull or withdraw item 40 to follow a work session and then bring that matter back before the board. So we will now move on to agenda item number 41.
Good morning. Debbie Blair with the County Attorney's Office to present item 41. 41 is for the board to consider accepting our second tranche of emergency rental assistance 2 funds. On March 30th, the county received $5,432,370.88. We are not asking this money be allocated at this time, simply that it be accepted for allocation by the board at a later date.
All right, thank you. With that, I'll make a motion that we approve this agenda item as presented.
Second.
All right, is there any discussion? We'll call the question. Their motion does not pass with 2 in support and 2 in opposition. We do have Commissioner Chatfield, who I believe is present. So for our clerk and our county attorney, I'd like for us to table this matter.
Oh, yeah, you're allowed to do that and come back to that later
Okay.
point in time to vote.
Thank you. Okay, with that, we will now move on to agenda item number 42. And I'm concerned we may run into the same circumstance. But why don't we go ahead and just take a break until Commissioner Chatfield comes back? We'll come back at 10:35. Thank you. Commissioners meeting. We will go ahead and revisit item 41 again, and I will have staff present as they did prior with all of our commissioners present.
Good morning. Item 41 is for the board to consider accepting its ERA, the second tranche of ERA 2 funding that it received on March 30th in the approximate amount of $5.4 million. It is asked that this board accept the second tranche of emergency rental assistance funding in the amount of $5,431,370.88 to be allocated at a later date.
Thank you, Debbie. I'll move that we approve this agenda item as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, we'll call the question. The motion passes with Commissioners Burrell and Gambrell in opposition. Thank you.
Okay, and item 42 is for the board to consider the acceptance and allocation of the second tranche of ERA 2 high need funding. Cobb received its second tranche of ERA 2 high needs on March 30th in the approximate amount of $1.5 million. The high need allocation is an additional amount of ERA 2 funding that is provided to those areas where job loss and high market costs have made it especially difficult for low-income renters. ERA 2 rental assistance does not require a COVID hardship. It's simply that there has to be a financial or medical hardship during the time of the pandemic. The funding is subject to the same Treasury guidelines that have been in effect since we received ERA 2. Under this program, an eligible household may receive up to 18 months of assistance, provided that those funds are not duplicative of any other federal assistance that it has received. This proposal continues with 4 service providers. Those providers are Home Free USA, the Center for Family Resources, Must Ministries, and Sweetwater Mission. The administrative fee that we have, that this board previously approved for ERA 2 for the service providers is 10%. The service providers agree that they will continue to manage the program according to Treasury guidelines and assist the magistrate court as requested by the magistrate court. It is also requested as part of this agenda item that the authority to delegate funds between the service providers be allocated to the county manager. As well, in order to ensure that our expenditures are proper, we are requesting that the grant management be allowed, or for WFN to provide grant management, and their administrative fee is 3%, which is what was previously approved for ERA 2. At this time, it is asked that the board accept this second tranche of emergency rental assistance in the amount of $1,501,443.45, allocate $332,220.10 to each of the 4 service providers, delegate the authority to the county manager to allocate funding among those providers, and to approve the items as detailed and recommended in this agenda item 42.
So moved as presented.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Debbie, can you address how this allocation may have impacted the ongoing services or assistance provided by our nonprofit organizations?
As far as us not having fun, yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
The county had received previously, as you all are aware, $22.8 million of ERA 1 funding. In addition, it received about $7 million of ERA 2 funding. Our service providers worked very hard to get that funding out to all of the citizens as they received the applications. They were able to do so, and what that did was they did that by January of 2022. We could not, because of Treasury guidelines, request any additional funding until we had expended at least 75% of those funds that we had previously received. That unfortunately resulted in a gap of funding from the middle to end of January until currently. So as you are aware, last meeting, $40 million of ERA 1 was allocated, and this will be the additional bit of ERA 2 that will be allocated. I do know that the three providers, Center for Family Resources will be working primarily with Magistrate Court, but the other 3 providers did start accepting applications this week, yesterday.
Thank you. So we've had some people here during public comment, and we've certainly have received a number of calls and emails about persons who've applied for assistance who did not hear back or who did not receive funding, although they have fully completed their application. And we understand that it was a significant hardship, and we are hopeful that the vote that we will make today will enable us to receive funds to respond to those outstanding applications. So with that, there's a, yes. Commissioner Gamble and then Commissioner Burrow.
My understanding is there was only supposed to be a cap of a 10% administration fee. So if you are providing each of the providers 10%, and then WFN an additional 3%, that totals 13%. So we've exceeded the 10% cap that is within the guidelines, or has that been changed?
The administrative fee cap for ERA 1 is indeed 10%. And if you recall, last meeting, we allocated 8% to the providers and 2% to WFN for grant administration. ERA 2 actually allows an administrative maximum of 15%. So the 10 and the 3 are actually a little less than what is allowed per the actual program under the American Rescue Plan.
But then are we still paying them, I believe it was an agenda item, I don't remember when, but it was either $3,400 or $4,200 a month that they could apply for to help administer this program? Are we still giving those funds out?
No, that has been terminated.
That was terminated.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Burrow.
This is not COVID related, but you mentioned a time frame and a medical condition.
For ERA 2, ERA 1 requires an actual hardship as a result of COVID, and it should be documented. With ERA 2, the hardship only needs to occur during, it of course can definitely be due to COVID, but it only has to occur during the time period of the pandemic, which of course the pandemic was declared in 2020, March-ish. I'm not sure the exact date. And then it's ongoing at this current time. ERA 2 funding per the bill is available through September 30th of 2025. So the ERA 2 portion that we're allocating today, the $1.5 million, if not allocated before, will be available up until that 2025.
So it's ongoing?
Yes.
And how will magistrate court, is it a backlog from COVID that they will be involved, or moving forward, or?
No, they are involved simply because in Cobb County, the evictions are filed with the magistrate court.
Right.
And of course, Judge Murphy has been very proactive in assisting us with allowing providers to go into the courts and actually talking to landlords and tenants that are there and trying to get an application completed, have the service provider there completing an application. And he has been able to continue those in certain instances. I mean, obviously there are instances where evictions are going to occur even with the funding available because not everybody qualifies for it or whatever the reason might be.
But is he being compensated through this money?
No, he's not.
But he's working with the nonprofits to meet the requirements.
He's running his court as he always does. It's just he is allowing, he has set aside space for the providers to be there, to meet with the various parties and take applications, and try to avoid, which of course is the goal of this program, is to keep people in their homes. So he's been very proactive and working with all of our.
He's done a great job through all this. What about legal aid? Are they involved as well?
They are on site, and part of our ERA 2 funding that you all approved last year, we set aside $681,000 to allow for the hiring of another attorney to be there and again assist tenants with housing stability questions that come up through the court process.
And are the payments directly to the landlords in this ERA 2?
Yes. Yes, that will remain the same.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Debbie, yesterday there were questions about whether funding would go to the landlord versus the tenant. Have we had any clarification with respect to that?
I believe the question was whenever there is no tenant, that could the monies go to the landlord? No. The program itself, as approved by Congress, anticipates that tenants qualify for these funds. Now, there is an instance where if the tenant is moving but has arrears, they may request us, our service providers, to pay the tenant the arrears that they would have been eligible to receive. So they can pay off the landlord and then move on without a debt. But in the instances where, unfortunately, in some cases, a tenant leaves without the landlord's knowledge, without a tenant, we cannot make money available under this program for them.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying. Are there any additional questions? We have a motion and a second. Go ahead and call the question. The motion carries again 3-2 with Commissioners Burrell and Gamble in opposition.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, we are moving on to agenda item 43.
Good morning again, Chairwoman, Commissioners. It is my pleasure to present to you the recommendation for our next Public Services Agency Director, none other than the one you've already met today, Dr. Jatan Gibson. I would like to ask her and members of her new agency if they would make their way up as I ask the board to approve the recommendation of Dr. Gibson as our next Public Services Agency Director.
Yes, so with that, I move that we appoint Dr. Gibson to be our next Public Services Agency Director.
And I believe. Second.
Is there any discussion, comments, questions? No. All right, we'll call the question. And the motion carries 5-0.
Yay. Yay. Thank you so much, Dr. Gibson, for what you've already done. Many of you have worked with Dr. Gibson as part of our team. We are excited to work with you, and I know you have a fan back there. Mr. Tanks, thank you for being here today and for all that you've done in mentoring Dr. Gibson. So thank you very much. If you would like to say
He's got to come up here.
Okay.
I have a few notes. I want to make sure I don't miss what I wanted to make sure I share.
Absolutely.
With the group. Thank you. So to Chairwoman Cupid, to the board, Dr. McMorris behind me, county manager, county staff, administrative team, and JG1 in his absence, who is the deputy county manager. And to my family, I just want them to kind of wave quickly when I point them out. and my support group. My sisters are here, Melly Mel, Narfunda, Sent. Those are my sisters, and they keep me straight. The other person I want to mention is my son. He got here last night at 12:30 from Houston, Texas, and that's why I'm a little sleepy this morning, but thank you for coming. And my first supervisor that I ever had out of college is here, and I think he walked out. Oh, there he is. That's my very first supervisor ever out of school. My best friend and sorority sister from college, Dr. Smiley Naughton, she's here as well. My god sister, Michelle, somewhere, okay, there she is. My think tank, they're the two over there. We talk a lot and we measure and throw things around and try to figure them out. Dr. D, Andrea, and we will do more of that. But I want to thank you all, and my godson is here. He followed me from Auburn University when I worked there. He's still following me, and he's here today, Ladarius. War Eagle. War Eagle, thank you. And then there's two people, and I will be brief because I know my sister Na is already saying that's too much. But my two biggest cheerleaders, both of them could not be here today, and I hope I get through this. It's my dad. He passed in 2008, big cheerleader. And my other is my mother, and I hope she's watching. And so she has covered me since utero. And she continues to cover me in prayer. And because she could not be here today, I went in her closet. This is her jacket. And she's still covering me. Think about that. She's still covering me. So she's here with me. I hope she sees this. But really quick, I want to talk about service, just quickly, because being public service, that's what we are. Director Tanks and I still communicate regularly. This weekend, my mother is, I almost said a retired teacher, but she's a teacher. She continues to teach us. And this weekend, we talked about humility. My brother-in-law was leading the Sunday school class, and he gave us a quote from Gordon Hinckley. It says, being humble means recognizing that we are not on this earth to see how important we are, but we are here to make differences in others' lives. And how do you do that? I think we do that through service, through the service that we give to others. Being a Rotarian is service above self. Being a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated is sisterhood and service. Being part of public service agency here in Cobb County is service. And that's what we're all here for, service. Dr. McMorris asked us in a meeting, what is the mission of Cobb County? I'm still on that word of service. It is to make Cobb County the best place to live, work, through efficient and effective and responsive government so that we provide the best service to others. That's what our mission is, and we're going to follow that. That is our mission, and your mission tells you where you're going. And so to end with that, I will say my job is to lead and learn with the Public Service Agency, and we will continue to do that. That's my commitment to you and to the board and to the staff. And again, senior services, you already know how I feel about you all, and they're still here supporting me. So I will end with this proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, we need to go together. Thank you.
You are welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Gibson. Thank you, team. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Please come back for a photo. Please come back.
Want a photo? They've got to get a photo.
Yes, come back. Special.
Bookends.
Yes, true. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, see you. Take care.
Indeed, the county is tremendously blessed. We have wonderful, wonderful team members, and I'm so proud that they are part of Cobb County, and you should be proud of them as well. Chairwoman, commissioners, if I may go to the next one. Our next item, I'm so proud to present to you our next property management director. I would like to ask Travis and his team to come up so that you all can officially appoint him as your new property management director.
Don't make Travis have to come up here by himself, please. All right.
Come on, Travis. While we wait, I'd just like to share that Travis has been with the county for over 27 years. He has tremendous experience in every aspect of property management. As you know, he also served as deputy property manager under Scott Barfield, who retired in December. So it is my pleasure to bring to you as a recommendation for your next property management director, Mr. Travis Stallcup.
All right.
What a team. What a team.
With that, yes. Yes, come on in the middle, Travis.
He's the tall one for those in the audience, right? That's actually Travis.
With that, commissioners, I move that we appoint Travis Stallcup to be our next property management director.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the question. 5-0.
Awesome.
All in support.
I want to thank the Board of Commissioners, the county manager. Oh, sorry, my goodness, I was looking over there. My bad. For the opportunity. I want to thank Sharon. I want to thank my entire staff. I want to thank the guys that came before me, John Rita, Lee McLeod, Scott Barfield. All those people paved the way for me. I didn't do this myself. I did it with their help. We don't do anything here alone. And there's no way I can follow Dr. Gibson's speech. But I want to thank everybody. I hope I don't let you down. If you need anything, call us. And I want to say this. Property management has got the best staff in the county. And I don't mean that any disrespect to anybody else, but these guys work hard. They're the people behind the scenes. They make the air work. They build the cabinets. They do the design. They do the admin. They do the accounting. I can go through every person here, but they're all great. And so we're Oz. We're the people behind the curtain. Okay?
Thank you,
Thank
Travis.
you, ma'am.
Appreciate it. So if you are...
And then some of them can come up here if they would like to just stand up here.
Come on, guys.
Take a knee. And they literally are taking a knee. You need some balance. They need some people on that side, Ross.
All right, pay attention on that. Here we go. 3, 2, hang on a second, not done. There we go.
All right, congratulations, Travis.
Good job. Keep him in line, Judy.
With that, we are going to move to agenda item number 45. Whenever you're ready to.
Okay, thank you, Chairwoman, appreciate it. This item is brought to the board for consideration of approving the investment principles and the investment guidance based on the prioritization in conjunction with support of Deloitte Consultants regarding the ARPA funds received by the county. As you may recall, the Board of Commissioners received approximately $73.8 million this past May to address many issues that were a result of COVID. On September last year, the board approved engaging with Deloitte Consultants to assist us in managing and administering these funds. Through a lot of research and outreach with community engagement, our community partners, the Board of Commissioners, our public-private partners, nonprofits, so many agencies were part of the discussion around these investment principles and guidance. So today, I would like to ask the Board of Commissioners to approve those investment principles and investment guidance based on the prioritization that we have come up with as a community in partnership with the assistance of Deloitte. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Dr. McMorris. Before I put forward a motion, I do want to clarify some information that was shared yesterday.
Sure.
Yes, it was shared that the Cobb County Collaborative was a donor of the State of the County address, and therefore it would be a conflict because they participated in this. In fact, it wasn't the Cobb Collaborative. There's another engineering firm called the Collaborative Firm that donated to it. And so I personally want to apologize for any implication that was caused or made to that organization.
Absolutely, thank you.
With that, I make a motion that we approve this agenda item as presented.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Well, yes, go ahead.
Madam Chair, I can't support this because of one-time money and sustainability in the budget that this will create, some of the items on here.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is there any other comment or question from staff or, excuse me, from commissioners? I would like to share again, I shared this when Deloitte was here for our work session. Thank you to our county manager's office for working with our consultant to provide extensive participation from the community and stakeholders. Sure. Unlike our past federal monies where we've had to offload those quickly, we were able to take our time with this allocation and engage about 3,000 stakeholders of our community. And I particularly am pleased with knowing that we'll be able to move forward taking their suggestions into consideration. So with that, we have a motion and a second. I'll call the question. The motion carries 3-2, again with Commissioners Burrell and Gamble in opposition. Thank you, Dr. McMorris.
Mm-hmm. Are we ready for number 46? Okay, thank you. Chairwoman, Commissioners, this item is brought to you to approve adjustments to the FY22 general fund budget based on a revision to our current revenue stream projections and prior year collections, and allocate in the amount of $25.3 million for capital projects. As you know, this is the time of the year when we ask all of our departments to provide to the county manager for consideration of any of our assets that we need to renovate, to enhance, to repair. And so the list of items brought before you today include such items. Any projects from the general fund contingency account will be brought before the board for approval, and any funds not expended will be returned to the general fund reserves. So there is no future negative impact to the budget because this is one-time money for one-time expenditures for capital expenditures. So if the Board of Commissioners would approve the adjustments to the FY22 general fund budget based on the revised current year projections and prior year collections, and allocate the funding for capital projects in the amount of $25.322,750, authorize the corresponding budget transaction, and further authorize the chairwoman to execute the necessary documents.
So moved as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Go ahead.
Yes, I see that we did add the language on the revised sheet.
Yes, ma'am.
That any expenditures of the $4 million would have to come back to the board for approval.
Yes.
My other request is that the satellite offices for DOT, that will save time and money for the crews in strategic locations in all 4 districts. we have a limited amount of time to do the one on Leland Drive, and I would ask that that be considered.
Certainly, there's $4 million in there which we can use to consider that. Happy to bring it back.
Okay. Thank you.
You are welcome.
Thank you. Commissioner Gambrell.
When I had my discussion with staff on April 6th, we were at the 21.3 to 27.50. And I totally supported that list because that list was attached to certain projects, and those projects all had dollar amounts tied to it. I was not aware that the $4 million was added until I read the agenda book. And you could say, well, again, why aren't we attaching $4 million of projects to that funding like we did the 21.3? And then I got to thinking back. In last year's budget, it was proposed to give each of the district commissioners $1 million. Of course, when they started getting feedback, that was removed from the budget, and it did not come forward to provide each district commissioner $1 million to spend as they see fit. Going into the work session yesterday, I was told that this $4 million was essentially going to be given $1 million to each commissioner. That changed through the work session to no, it could be anybody bringing forth any project they want. I was then accused of not advocating for my district to make sure that projects got included in this list. However, this is a capital projects list. The county does not typically fund capital. I know that was one of the things that when I first came on board, and we got about $3 million put towards the capital fund that allowed staff to start doing some projects that had not been done in the past. It was never supposed to be for a district commissioner to advocate to get a project done. It was for staff to be able to do capital projects that had been put aside. So it's very hard. I support the 21.3 because this is defined projects. If we're going to put the $4 million to the satellite, take it off of this, bring it back forth as a budget item, specifying that project. But right now, essentially what's going to happen is you've got $4 million, you're going to have 4 commissioners and possibly the chair bringing forth projects and competing for that $4 million. That is essentially a slush fund. And that should not be how this capital project fund is used.
Is there a question? Or
well, my only question is again, I supported it at the 21.3. That 21.3 is tied to specific projects. This $4 million is not.
So the $4 million is not tied to any specific project. You are absolutely correct, Commissioner. It is in there, however, because we as staff and I as a county manager often get requests for projects that your constituents sometimes bring to you for us to fund. And unless it's in the budget, there's no way to fund those things. We talked about this yesterday, and I think I gave a couple of examples of how you could bring it back. At the end of the day, all of that $4 million, whether it's collective or individual, will have to come back before you to approve that project. But too many times, staff is asked to go out and fix something, to repair something that may be in your district that you may have requested, but unless it's approved, we have no way to do that. So this is just, for lack of a better way of looking at it, an earmark. So if you get a request, and I have gotten several, we can then come back to you by agenda and say, of this money, here's a capital project, one-time expenditure, if you so choose to, to repair, renovate, fix something that you have identified that we perhaps as staff may have missed. That's all it's there for.
Thank you, Dr. McMorris. Any other questions? Commissioner Burrow.
And it is one-time money for capital projects.
One-time money.
Thank you. Commissioner Sheffield?
And Dr. McMorris, just for a point of further clarification, you mentioned that
This is an earmark for commissioners in the event there are projects that we would like to have done in our districts, but it's also the constituents that oftentimes reach out to us about things that we might not be aware of.
Yes.
And these things are brought to our attention, so it's not just that the Board of Commissioners is using this money as we see fit, but is also to address the needs of some of the concerns that we receive from the constituents.
Or even a director may come to you after this has been approved and not realize that there was something else that broke down that needs to be repaired, and they will come back to you. It could be something in a library, it could be something in a senior center, it could be something anywhere that's a one-time expenditure. They would come back to the board and say, you know, this was not included in the original list. We can't think of everything all of the time, but we do try very hard to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars. I think Cobb stands out as that. We try to be transparent. So I appreciate the question, or the comment rather, Commissioner, I really do. But again, at the end of the day, the decision as to how you choose to use these funds is yours.
And we would still need to vote on that.
Yes,
Okay.
you would. We will bring it back for your vote.
And on the agenda item, the last sentence, any funds not expended will be returned to the general fund reserve. When would that be returned?
So usually when we do a closeout of the year, we're going to try to get these funds for all of our departments expended as quickly as possible. And then we will come back to you and say, do you have, we'll check with you to see, do you have any expenditures, because we want to close this out within our fiscal year, no later than the calendar year, if possible.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate the discussion, and really this just underscores we are ensuring monies are available for when things come up, so we don't have to search forward or we're unable to respond because there hasn't been money set aside for things that can come up.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we perceive we've had a motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion? I'll call the question. The motion passes 4-1 with Commissioner Gambrill in opposition.
Thank you.
Commissioners, before we begin the DOT agenda, we do have one item to add to the agenda, which is to approve a contract with Butch Thompson Enterprises for drainage system repairs on Briarly Chase. With that, I'll move that we add this to the DOT tab. Is there a second?
Second. Did we get a sheet on that?
We got a sheet for it yesterday. 62? Thank you. So there's a motion to add this to the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I'll call the question. Thank you. The motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Drew. Go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning again, Chairwoman, Commissioners. With that action, DOT has 12 items for presentation this morning. To introduce the first four, with the 2022 SPLOST, the Board of Commissioners and the voters decided to invest in our most critical assets, including the asphalt and the roadways. And we were excited just 4 months after collections began to bring forward 4 different contracts for local road resurfacing in a total amount of approximately $28.7 million. So with that, our first item is to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve resurfacing contract 2022-1 Local Roads District 1 with C.W. Matthews Contracting Company Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $6,832,485 for resurfacing of county-maintained streets, project number B2901. Authorize the corresponding budget transactions and further authorize the chairwoman to execute the necessary documents.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? I'll call the question. The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Our next item is to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve resurfacing contract 2022-2 Local Roads District 2 with C.W. Matthews Contracting Company Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $7,172,595 for resurfacing of county-maintained streets, project number B2902. Authorize the corresponding budget transactions and further authorize the chairwoman to execute the necessary documents.
Commissioner Richardson.
So moved. Second.
All right. Any discussion? Call the question. The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Our next item is to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve resurfacing contract 2022-3, Local Roads District 3 with Bartow Paving Company Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $7,226,783.58 for resurfacing of county-maintained streets, project number B2903. Authorize the corresponding budget transactions and further authorize the chairwoman to execute the necessary documents.
Commissioner Burrow.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? We'll call the question. The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Our next item is to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve resurfacing contract 2022-4, Local Roads District 4 with Magnum Paving LLC in an amount not to exceed $7,465,975 for resurfacing of county-maintained streets, project number B2904. Authorize the corresponding budget transactions and further authorize the chairwoman to execute the necessary documents.
Commissioner Sheffield.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? We'll call the question. The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Our next item is to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve a contract with Chatfield Contracting Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $109,686 for drainage system repairs on Marsden Trace, project number D2861. Authorize the corresponding budget transactions and further authorize the chairwoman to execute the necessary documents.
Commissioner Gambrell.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the question. The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Our next item is to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve a contract with Advanced Sports Construction LLC in an amount not to exceed $86,964 for drainage system repairs on Tranquil Drive, project number B2203. Authorize the corresponding budget transactions and further authorize the chairwoman to execute the necessary documents.
Commissioner Sheffield.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the question. The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Our next item is to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve change order number 1 to project number D2874 to the 2021 countywide unit price contract with Chatfield Contracting Incorporated, a no-cost time extension through April 18th, 2022 for emergency drainage repairs on Parkwood Chase, and authorize the chairwoman to execute the necessary documents.
Commissioner Burrow.
Motion to approve.
Second. Any discussion? Call the question. The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Our next item is recommend the Board of Commissioners approve change order number 1 to the contract with Butch Thompson Enterprises Incorporated, a no-cost time extension through April 22nd, 2022 for drainage system repairs on Shelley Court, project number D2834, and authorize the chairwoman to execute the necessary documents.
Commissioner Richardson.
So moved.
Second. I'll call the question. I didn't ask for discussion, that's why I hesitated. Is there any discussion on this item? All right, we'll call the question. The motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Our next item is to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve change order number 1 final to project number D2872 to the 2021 countywide unit price contract with Advanced Sports Construction LLC, a savings to the project in the amount of $66,578 for drainage system repairs on Windchime Court. Authorize the corresponding budget transactions and further authorize the chairwoman to execute the necessary documents.
That's a big savings. Commissioner Gambrell.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? We'll call the question. The motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item is to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve an intergovernmental agreement with the Cobb County Board of Education for the donation of right-of-way and temporary construction easement on a tract of land identified as parcel number 1 on Jim Owens at Lewis Elementary School, project number X2801. Authorize the acceptance of donation of required right-of-way and temporary easement for said project, and further authorize the chairwoman to execute the necessary documents.
Commissioner Gambrell.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? We'll call the question. The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Our next item is to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve a contract with D&H Construction Company Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $308,755 for drainage system repairs on Princeton Lakes Drive, project number X22116. Authorize the corresponding budget transactions and further authorize the chairwoman to execute the necessary documents.
Commissioner Richardson.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? We'll call the question. The motion carries 5-0.
In our final item, I want to thank the board again for allowing us to add this. We had bid this out and planned this for the next meeting in April. Unfortunately, the system failed faster than we anticipated, and so this will allow us to move on that project immediately. And this item is to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve a contract with Butch Thompson Enterprises Incorporated in amount not to exceed $173,241.25 for drainage system repairs on Briarly Chase, project number X22125. Authorize the corresponding budget transactions and further authorize the chairwoman to execute the necessary documents.
Commissioner Sheffield.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? We'll call the question. The motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Drew.
Thank you.
Okay, we are now moving on to our Public Services tab.
Good morning, Chairwoman, Commissioners, Madam County Manager.
Hi, Michael.
Parks item this morning is for the board to approve a contract with Integrated Construction and Nobility Incorporated, ICANN, under the provisions of a Cobb County Master Agreement for materials and labor to install a concrete pad for bleachers under the outboard covered arena at Jim R. Miller Park at a cost not to exceed $84,443.06 under the 2016 Park Splosh Program. We ask that the Board of Commissioners approve the contract with Integrated Construction and Nobility Incorporated under the Cobb County Master Agreement in an amount not to exceed $84,443.06. Authorize the corresponding budget transactions and further authorize the purchasing director to execute the necessary documents.
Commissioner Sheffield.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the question. The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, good morning. Moving on to Public Safety.
Hi, Chairwoman, Commissioners, and County Manager. Fire has one today, and we're asking the board to authorize the advertisement for and acceptance of sealed bids for a design-build project related to the renovation of the fire facility replacement renovations 2022 SPLOST Project XB104, and further authorize the issuance of a request for proposal to secure required services.
All right, I move that, oh, excuse me, this is in Commissioner Gamble's district, so I'll let her move forward.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? We'll call the question. The motion passes 5-0. Thank you,
all.
Bill. All right, that takes us to our second public comment.
Thank you, Chairwoman. The first public speaker is Palmetto Starr.
My name is Palmetto Starr, and I'd first like to thank the Cobb County Board of Commissioners for having this seemingly progressive and eye-opening meeting. I took someone to the shelter yesterday. I would have took them in, but I didn't have enough space. I'm already providing housing at my place as well as other places for people that are displaced. How is it that Georgia State House is adorned with gold with the native Georgians, many of whose descendants are now living in Cobb, and they are without housing? How are people who created the infrastructure now without housing and ultimately land? Land and housing is ultimately the most important civil rights issue of our time. I took someone to the shelter yesterday. And while the Must Ministries and Monica Delancey of We Thrive Riverside were very responsive with resources, it's not enough. I hear a lot of whistle words. I'm not a dog, but I can hear the high-pitched tunes of these whistle words. When I hear things like keep the character of these suburbs, like the gentleman was saying, I wonder as a writer what this character looks like. When I hear we don't want to look like Atlanta, I had to ask myself, what does Atlanta look like? When I hear things like preserve suburbs, who are we preserving?
Okay, I'm sorry, sir. Please, if we can help keep comments down from the audience, that will enable us to focus on the speaker.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. When I hear words like urbanize, now you're insulting my intelligence because I know exactly what you mean. So you can't say I'm not racist, then use racist whistle language, which is just about roundabout race innuendo. and say that we are one human race. Well, we are one human race. Try putting black on your next bank loan application and see how far that takes you. Because we are concerned about the increasingly colored Cobb, people are using different language to sort of negate what really is the true issue. Housing and land ownership is the most important civil rights issue of our time. And it's time for us to have a real conversation about land ownership, about how land ownership came about in Cobb, and about who are we truly preserving and what are we truly preserving. So I'd like again to thank the Board of Commissioners for this very eye-opening and seemingly progressive meeting. I had to take someone to the shelter yesterday, and I shouldn't have had to do that. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Monica Delancey.
Good morning, Monica Delancey. We Thrive in Riverside Renters Association, Riverside Community Unincorporated, Austell. I want to start off with some good news. Pembroke High School celebrated their first international homecoming, and they were able to honor about 13 students from 13 different countries. This effort was led by Principal Dr. Dana Giles, as well as her ESOL department, and everybody was so appreciative. So just want to acknowledge that. In addition, some other good news, South Cobb High School and Pembroke High School were both honored as being on the AP Honor Roll. And also I want to share that Cobb County School District is registering for kindergarten. I know in the past, people would come in person and do registration, but now it's done virtually. But however, if they check with the individual schools, some schools are having days set aside where they can come and upload documents, because that still is a tedious task. Just because they know how to do certain things on their phones or computers, when it's time to upload documents, everybody's confused. So even though they have online kindergarten registration, like I said, parents should check with local schools to see where they will set aside a day where you can come in for registration. And some other good news is on March 27th, We Thrive in Riverside Renters Association, along with Color Only Cafe, hosted our Renters Advocacy Summit, and it was held at the Riverside Epic Center on a Sunday afternoon. And we didn't know that the last time we did was last year. We held it outside so people could see what was going on and people would come. People came. This year we held it inside, and I'll tell you, there were over 100 people that attended this event. And they attended the event because not only were they looking for resources, but they wanted to hear from the Cobb Legal Aid, who were lawyers, doing their presentation about evictions. They wanted to hear from Georgia Appleseed from the Law and Justice Center about maintenance issues and how people are being still harassed and given non-renewal leases because there are maintenance concerns. And also, yes, Georgia Department of Community Affairs was there. They were present. They did explain about the process to apply for rental assistance as well as mortgage assistance. It is not a short process where you can apply today and tomorrow you're going to get the assistance. But they did share that this was something we didn't know, that if they cannot talk to the landlord or the landlord refuses to participate, the funds can be deposited into the tenant's accounts. And so that is something that people did not know. But what was also shared was just disheartening that some people told me they go to court and the landlords know that they applied for assistance and still say they don't want to wait for it. And because of the law, they're allowed to grant a writ of possession. And what the writ of possession is when a person is given 7 days to vacate the property. And that's even knowing that the assistance has been applied for. Now, what I have not heard yet, that when a tenant move out, not here in Cobb yet, but I know I've heard it from other states, not here in Cobb yet, that when the tenant moves out or they leave, that money still goes to that landlord. And I hope that's not happening, that when that person is gone, the landlord still takes the money. But just wanted to share that. And also, yes, thankful for those organizations that are receiving the millions of dollars to help with rental assistance. But there is a need for some people to do the resource navigation, to do the education workshops, to do the information on the ground floor. And so I just want to share that lightning does strike twice for organizations like We Thrive and Riverside Rental Association. And yes, Oprah Winfrey did grant our organization another $50,000 so we can do the hard work in the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Courtney Omega.
Good morning, almost afternoon, Board of Commissioners. I'm always so just impressed when I come to this meeting because just as I mentioned before, I sat, of course, on the dais as well. And I was one of 9, but I was one of only 3 other females. So to look at such a powerful display of what leadership can be, it always makes me in awe. I want to, again, behoove you, as I have done a couple of times before, with being able to put yourself in a picture or a situation of appreciating that even though you sit on this dais, as I said as well, even as you understand and appreciate the challenges of our community and what is happening even as we speak, with not just the lack of housing, but the lack of opportunity to navigate such housing. How can we find these resources when we're forced to go back into paying jobs that don't even pay us or commiserate what we're worth, that don't even commiserate what our degrees and experience has shown, but we are told to, in order to look or appear as though we are trying to make good on these arrears, we have to go back to work, leaving our children vulnerable, leaving our children at home, sometimes, alone and unsupervised, young children. I think about the scene from Hidden Colors. I don't know if you all have seen it. Hidden Figures, excuse me, a wonderful, wonderful movie about the African-American women that helped with creating the NASA program. And there is a scene where Octavia is speaking with the lead of women from the other side, because this was a segregated unit, and Octavia led the black unit, and the female led the white women unit. And she said to her, what she found was so unfortunate is that she couldn't see that she was in a position to help. I stand before you today to say that you all have right now an opportunity to really move forward aggressive legislation to aid, assist, and empower African American families. You do. We want to make sure that Georgia sits on the right side of history with this absolutely historical opportunity to move forward legislation to stop the evictions of those families so that they can gather themselves, to do whatever you can in your power to make sure that they're getting the funding to do so. Because again, without your positions, without your leadership, none of this is possible. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Chairwoman, that concludes the second portion of the public comment.
Thank you. With that, we are moving to our appointment tab. I understand that item 60 has been revised and that we actually do need to approve the appointment. So Commissioner Sheffield, I'll turn things over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I make a motion to approve the reappointment of Jamala McFadden to the Development Authority Board.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the question. The motion carries 5-0. Thank you. And the next one is for Commissioner Burrow.
Thank you. I would like to announce the appointment of Alice Summerhour to the BZA Board. She will replace Brian O'Malley for the duration of his term, which expires December 31st, 22. And I'd like to thank Brian for his dedication and hard work on the board.
Thank you, Commissioner. That now takes us to the Commissioner's public address. Go ahead and start with you, Commissioner Gambrill.
Thank you. If you're looking for something new for your garden, you can come to the 22nd Annual Plant Sale and Expo from 10 to 4 p.m. this Friday and Saturday, April 15th and 16th at the Jim R. Miller Park at 2245 Callaway Road Southwest in Marietta. The event is hosted by the Master Gardener Volunteers of Cobb County as a fundraiser and features a wide selection of plants at various prices. There is still time to sign up for the Atkins Golf Classic benefiting Safe Path, which will be held on April 20th of 2022. You can visit their link or register on the QR code as provided. Again, this will benefit Safe Path Children's Advocacy Center. And our seniors, a new game is coming to town. Learn how to play canasta from 9:30 to 12:30 p.m. on Wednesdays starting May 4th through June 8th at the West Cobb Senior Center. This class does have a $6 fee associated with it. Registration is required, and you can call 770-528-8200 or online at myactivecenter.com to register. The West Cobb Senior Center is located at 4915 Dallas Highway in Powder Springs. And lastly, Happy Easter. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Richardson.
Sure. So happy Easter, happy Resurrection Sunday, happy Ramadan Mubarak. And yes, certainly enjoy the weekend. From the office. So tomorrow we've got our next SEEP stakeholders meeting. Join me and my cabinet member, Arjo Turner, in the third stakeholders virtual meeting on April 13th, 7 o'clock p.m. This month we'll be hosting Friends of Bolton Parks. Join the virtual event to learn more about their work in the community and how you can get involved with our sustainability environmental advocacy project, which is really just making sure we're getting insight from members around the community in terms of how we can look at sustainability in our policies. Vining Cityhood Town Hall, yes, this is coming up. It'll be next week, Thursday, April 21st at 6:30 p.m. Vinings Methodist Church, and certainly a very similar format to what you've been seeing publicly with all of the other cityhood conversations, just a Q&A format after a little bit of dialogue from members of staff. Q1 Town Hall. We haven't had a chance to have our Town Hall in a minute, but we are, if you remember last year, there was an uptick in all the cases, so now we're coming back. We have the Q1, which is where we give you a lot of updates from different organizations, different stakeholders around the community, certainly our staff, just things that we want to highlight and be proud of, But Q1 is always very special because it is our chance to actually share what the priorities are for the office. This is after feedback from the community. You're aware I did the tour, the lots of different policy areas we're looking at, and we're compiling all of that feedback, and we'll be putting that on display for the community to see exactly what they said they wanted to see for this year. So that will be Sewell Mill Library, Tuesday, May 10th at 6:30. Community updates. Library lends out Chromebooks. Cobb County Public Library is committed to bridging the digital divide and providing digital access to residents across the county, whether inside the library or at home. So now Chromebooks are available for checkout. These internet-enabled laptops are available for a 3-week checkout period to library card holders ages 17 and over. Take one with you and get your work done anywhere, anytime. Learn more at cobbcat.org/connectingcobb. And yes, it's the special runoff. We just finished the special itself. We have our 2 candidates that are proceeding. This is to fill District 45 seat. They're kind of 2 going on at the same time, so don't be confused. But the special election is to replace Matt Dollar from stepping down, and then of course we have the election year itself going on. So be aware of all the information going around. The next special election date will be May 3rd. Check out cobbcounty.org/elections or scan the QR code to see if you're eligible to vote. And that concludes all of my announcements.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Burrow? I'm going to be long-winded.
So, Whataburger comes to Cobb. Last week we had the groundbreaking for Whataburger based out of Texas that will open in the fall of 2022 at Town Park Lane near KSU in Kennesaw. You can go to whataburger.com. You can apply for a job or just come and eat a good hamburger. This past Saturday, muskets were fired and flags were waved in the wind and cold as the sons of the American Revolution honored the lives and contributions of 3 patriots buried at the Marietta National Cemetery. The Revolutionary War veterans John Clark, John Hames, and George Bradford were all honored by the organization with new markers that added to their tombstones to remember their service during the fight for independence. John Clark was a veteran of both the Revolutionary War and the War of 1812. Served as Georgia's 31st governor for 2 terms from 1819 to 1823. John Hames served as a private and brevet major participating in several war engagements, and George Bradford fought in the battles of Brandywine and Germantown. I was fortunate to be able to attend this event on behalf of the Cobb County Board of Commissioners, and we recognize the dedication of the graves of patriots John Clark, John Hames, and George Bradford, and call this observance to the attention of our citizens by proclaiming April 9th, 2022 as Cobb Patriots Day. I also had the honor of celebrating a 30th year anniversary at the Mountain View Art Place, along with Chairwoman Cupid. It was a great event. Sunday evening, we had demonstrations from our pottery folks that do the empty bowl brunch. We had a harpist, a local harpist playing, and it was great, a great reunion for former directors and that came to join us and a lot of the community. So happy 30th anniversary to the Art Place at Mountain View. Yesterday was a very exciting demo day. I got to take the first swing with a gold sledgehammer to the old Bruno's building at Sprayberry Crossing. There are folks cheering back here that were around in the 70s when this was a thriving shopping center. As you know, it went through the zoning process for quite a lengthy time last year, and finally, the Bruno's is coming down. Next on the chopping block is the bowling alley. We finally are getting rid of a 20-plus-year-old blighted property. So it will consist of residential and commercial in the area, and I think it will be a great improvement along with the upgrades going on at Sprayberry High School across the street as well. We have number 216 of our Superior Pets for Patriotic Vets adoptions. This cute beagle was adopted last week by Catherine Alfaro. We're grateful to her for giving this pup a loving home, and for her, she and her husband, veterans for U.S. Air Force and U.S. Army. The Superior Pets program is no fee adoptions for veterans. They have all their shots, they're spayed or neutered, and they're microchipped. So visit the Cobb County Animal Shelter. The website is cobbcounty.org/pets to see what pets are available for adoption and get an appointment to take home your new best friend. The shelter also has a Spring into Love adoption special going on for the spring and summer. All dogs 30 pounds and over are available for $30 adoption fee. The We Care Veterans Resource Fair will be held May 13th and 14th at the Cobb Civic Center. This will be a great resource for our veterans to come, and lots of vendors will be there for jobs, for benefits, to help our veterans, and anyone is welcome. It is free, and you can attend this one-stop solution for veteran benefits and assistance. And we hope you spread the word and let your neighbors and friends know. County offices will be closed on Friday, April 15th in observance of Good Friday. And we'd also like to recognize our community friends for Passover, which begins Friday, April 15th through Saturday, April 22nd. And also Happy Easter to everyone. It's hard to believe Easter's already here. If you would indulge me for just a few minutes, I'd like to just share with you a very heartwarming story that happened. A couple weeks ago, on March 28th, you probably remember if you live in District 3 or the area, a lady was killed walking her dog at Sandy Plains and Whitlock. She died and the dog died. Well, I did not know this lady, but we did have a close mutual friend who reached out to me to see, any details and also what happened to her dog. Well, I called Deputy Chief Hamilton, and the dog did go to the animal shelter. It was deceased. So the lady's ex-husband and daughter were informed, and due to the mutual friend, I contacted, or Deputy Chief Hamilton contacted the shelter, and they were able to save some of the remains and of the dog once his remains were disposed, and also the collar. And they also made a paw print for the daughter to keep, because it was her dog too. So this is a picture of Detective Hammond, who is our detective housed at Animal Shelter, who made all this happen, and Chip Kaczynski, the mutual friend of the deceased, and me at the shelter with the urn for the ashes from the dog. And Chip presented that to the husband and daughter. They're very close family friends. So I just wanted to share that because of a mutual friendship that the animal shelter was able to help with this sad case, a tragic accident, but something positive came out of it. So thanks for indulging me. And condolences to the family. And then my contact information.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Sheffield.
Sure. Thank you, Chair. I am privileged to be the guest speaker at the South Cobb Business Association luncheon on Wednesday, April 13th. I will share my vision to continue to move our district forward and provide updates on upcoming development and redevelopment. Please join me at the Faith Christian Center located at 3831 Traymore Point Parkway in Austell. I look forward to seeing you there. Our monthly In the Zone meeting will be held a week earlier this month on April 20th. District 4 Planning Commissioner Michael Hughes and I will discuss May's zoning cases. Our In the Zone monthly community meetings are a great way to learn firsthand about zoning applications and potential development in your community. Please email deidre.watts@cobbcounty.org for the meeting link. Join me, Keep Cobb Beautiful, our Adopt-A-Mile partners, and others on Saturday, April 23rd from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. for our inaugural D4 Community Cleanup. The district-wide event will bring awareness to the challenges that the district and the county face regarding litter. We will have refreshments at the start of the event, so please register in advance by, again, sending an email to deidre.watts@cobbcounty.org. Kids Entrepreneurs Day, yes. calling all kidpreneurs and vendors. The Bookworm Bookstore and Rooted Training Company is looking for you to join them on Saturday, April 23rd from 11:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. in downtown Powder Springs. Free spaces are available for kids to set up and showcase their passion and to hang out with their customers. Local Atlanta Kids superstars, the Mighty McClures, will be on site for a meet and greet. Stop by 4451 Marietta Street in Powder Springs to join the fun. For more information, contact 770-439-2029, and vendor space is still available. Meeting space at the South Cobb Government Center. The South Cobb Government Center has reopened to host your meetings and events. The meeting room has a capacity of 37 persons and is available from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily, except on Sundays and holidays. The Government Center is located at 4700 Austell Road in Austell. To reserve the meeting room or for more information, contact Melanie Brown at 770-499-4491. And finally, some bunny is thinking of you. That's Deidre's doing. Happy Easter, and may you enjoy a joyful and lovely Easter holiday. And for those who celebrate Ramadan or Passover, I wish you a joyous celebration. Thank you.
Thank you. I think the commissioners did a great job in recognizing many of the events and interests of our county, and want to again wish everyone a very happy holiday season, Ramadan Mubarak. Happy Passover, and certainly happy Easter. Don't forget, offices are closed on Friday, and we look forward in seeing you at our next BOC meeting. Thank you.
Chairwoman, if I may, we did have a historic preservation hearing that was going to be at 1:30 today, but we can just make an announcement that that has been canceled. We'll be looking for a new date for that to occur.
Great, thank you.
No, thank you.
Very good, appreciate it. Take care, everyone.